We're joined now by the GM of the Maple Leafs. Here is Kyle Dubas. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm well, guys. Thanks. How are you?
We're doing well.
Thanks.
We appreciate you joining us. I guess let's begin with the question we've been throwing around probably since Game 7 against the Bruins. The idea that maybe Mike Babcock wasn't going to be the right guy for you and the team that you were trying to build and the team you were hoping to see play on the ice. So take us through that. Why did you bring Babcock back for these 23 games?
I think at the end of the season, I know and I think it will largely be the same with Sheldon and has been in the years I worked with him and the years I worked with Mike. You get to the end of the season and you look back and you evaluate where you're at, evaluate the changes that you want to make. And, I totally understand the question and I think if people are befuddled by the fact that we could have done it then and try to go through 23 games and then do it. And I understand it doesn't put the team or Sheldon into a great spot, but I think the reality is that I really wanted it to work with Mike and to go through a summer and try to find a way and to push our team to the next level. And at the same time, just because we had done that didn't mean that when it sensed that things weren't going to go the way we wanted, that it would have been right just to keep rolling along as we were, and thus we felt the need to make a change.
So in terms of deciding, okay, this is it, we're going to move on, was it more about the systems and style of play and the tactical errors, I guess, that Babcock was making, or was it how the team was receiving it? I mean, Sheldon Keefe said multiple times today he's got to lift up the spirits of the team. Was it X's and O's or more about the passion and the disposition of your team?
Yeah, it's probably something that Jamie and Jeff can speak to even more deeply than I can, Brian, honestly. But I was just observing the team, and obviously there was how we were playing, and it wasn't necessarily going well by any measure, wins, anything underlying. It wasn't necessarily going the way that we envisioned. And then I think with that comes, especially when a coach has been in a place for a long time, and for better for worse in coaching and in management, 5 seasons is a well above average stint. You start to worry about where things are going and where they're heading, and whether with someone who's been here for that long, whether they can move to get things going in a different direction, in a better direction. And so I don't think it's one specific thing. It's a combination of all of the things that you had mentioned, and with the underlying part of us wanting to do what's best for the long term of our club, and a feeling that Sheldon was the best person to do that for us.
Kyle, when you went in and addressed your team, I know you're a communicator and you like to kind of be up front with it. Was there a sense where, for lack of better words, you had to kind of read them the riot act a little bit and said, listen, as much as I've had to make this change, a lot of this is on you? Or how did that transaction go down? How did you address the players? I mean, I know you want to keep things behind closed doors, but at least give us some insight.
Yeah, what I said to the players, Jamie, was that obviously I don't think we've played to the standard that we're capable of, and we've shown that standard in stretches and in games and in parts of games throughout the year, and even going back to last year, but we haven't been able to find it on a consistent basis. And not reaching that standard is a condemnation of the players, but it's reflective of everybody in the organization. I'm unhappy with the players, and that they haven't been able to find that level of consistency. And I told them that. I also explained to them where their blame is certainly on myself and on the coaching staff. And so I think when we're looking at why things haven't gone the way that they've gone, I know there's been a lot, even internally here, where we're trying to figure out whose fault was it. And I think Mike pays the price, but the reality is that when these types of things happen, it's usually every part of the organization has not performed to the standard that's expected, and that was what was communicated to the players, and certainly focused on the way that they had played.
Well, in which way would you factor into that, Kyle? Are you talking about the players that you've acquired, how you built the team? Like, in which way do you take some responsibility in a 9-10-4 start?
I think whenever anything in professional sports, Brian, whenever things don't go up to the standard that you expect, it all goes on to management. It all goes on to me. So that's what I've signed up for, and I think that's what we all sign up for when we do this job. And you're trying to acquire the players that fit the system. You're trying to make sure that you're on the same page as the coaches, and you're bringing that on side when it happens. You're trying to always improve the team and acquire players and sign free agents and make draft choices that fit the model and get the team to progress ahead. And that hasn't happened. So to me, I know that a lot of people dance around it, but I don't think there's any reason to dance around it. That I put that all on myself, and I don't try to look anywhere else. And I know that may come off as a disingenuous thing to say the day after you relieve the head coach of his duties and replace him, but that's all part of me trying to do my part for the organization, and the job that they've put the belief in me to do is to try to get our group collectively to the spot that we want. And so I put that on myself, and I know our players accept their portion of it as well, regardless of what they say or how it comes across. They've expressed that personally and privately. And so I think we're all disappointed in ourselves, and we all have to get to work to get us to the level that I think we all expect and know that we're capable of.
Kyle, how sophisticated is the message to the new coach? I mean, there's different reasons you brought them in and different things you saw on the ice that you want to change, but you can't really say fix this, fix that, as opposed to going into a new game tonight. Is it just simplify things and say these are some very simple things we want to fix, or how complex is the message you send to him going into this new era with Sheldon Keefe behind the bench?
Yeah, that was a tougher one for sure, Jeff. I mean, we're in the middle of a road trip. Sheldon didn't really have a practice. He flew in last night after everything kind of happened. And then, he has a pregame skate, which, as we all know, are not the most robust entities anymore. And so, the players are trying to just get out there, even if there is one, and sort of get their legs under them and get a sweat going and then get off at most if they even go out for them. But today, we had some very minor system things that Sheldon wanted to work on, and he had a meeting with the players and a very brief pregame skate, which I don't remember the last time I've seen it. Some actual systems work, like the building of systems work in one. So it's certainly going to be a little bit unconventional. It's certainly going to be challenging, but my messaging to Sheldon is just, and having gone through this with him once before, and in season change where he came in, is just to continue to be himself and everything that he's been about as a coach, and begin to build it out. And I think everybody here knows that it's not optimal for him, but I think he'll be able to find his way through it with time and begin to build his relationships with the players and begin to install the different changes that he wants to make in terms of how we play. And I don't think it'll be perfect right out of the gate. I think it'll require some time. And as I challenged the players yesterday, my expectation of them is that we need them to double down on their concentration, their focus, and their commitment to the cause here if we're going to get this righted and moved in the right direction. So there's going to be some things that are a little bit unorthodox that we're going to have to do because of the timing of the move, but I've got full belief that Sheldon will get buy-in from the players, that the players are bought into getting this turned.
It just seems so far away, Kyle, from the old speech where it's like, guys, we just got to go out there and have some fun. Like the fun in the game, it's like there's so much stress involved, and you want to, obviously you got to go out there and there's, players got to play better and the coaches got expectations, but there's that old speech once in a while where somebody just comes in and says, we got to go out there and have some fun. It just seems far away from that. You must want to get close to that where you're like, go out there and have fun, but there's so much stress involved. That's a difficult combo to have.
Yeah, I think. Maybe I focused too much in my answer on the systematic changes and different things to be done. But in talking to Sheldon the last day and then this morning, and I know his discussion with the players, that there was certainly a part of that feeling free, feeling creative, and going out and really just enjoying themselves out there again. I think he alluded to it, as you guys asked earlier, about the spirit of the team and focusing on what it is that we do well and what we have in abundance, and really maximizing that. So I think those two go hand in hand. I didn't mean to paint too dreary a picture of all the boring systems. And
you could never do that on this show. You could never do that on this show.
Yeah, we need some sophistication on this show, believe me. With Kyle Dubas, the GM of the Maple Leafs. Were there any other coaches in consideration, or was it always Sheldon Keefe?
None at all, just Sheldon.
So I'm going to give you this opportunity, give you the floor here, because you're bucking a lot of trends here, Kyle, like conventional trends. You're handing the keys over to a rookie coach. 50% of your cap is tied up in 4 players. Not a lot of size, not a lot of physicality, conventional wisdom in the sport, grit, fighting, hitting, all that kind of stuff. That's not really what you've built here. And there's a lot of skepticism in the hockey world. Take us through why you believe this plan and this philosophy will work.
My belief in the philosophy that we have and the way that we're sort of designed to play is that I think that by building a team that is intelligent and fast and creative and highly skilled, and the vision is that we will want to have the puck as much as possible, and we'll keep the puck every time we possibly can have it. And though it may not seem like the brute toughness that some may prefer, the way I look at it is you can go into to something, you can try to outpower somebody, or you can technically try to wear them down and break their will a little bit that way. And I think by having the puck all the time, and then at the minute that we don't have it, quickly getting tenacious to get it back and not letting teams get past their own blue line, past the red line and into our zone, constantly putting pressure on them, using our speed and our intelligence and our skill level, that we'll exert ourselves a different way and be able to impose our will on teams a different way. And I know that a lot of people will scoff at that, and I think it's well within their rights to have doubt and to have skepticism. And it's up to us to continue to, as people have those doubts, continue to keep marching along with belief in what we're doing here. And in the end, and I think rightfully so, the fans and the media will be able to judge whether we were right or wrong. But if we hide from it and we never put ourselves out there, and we change on the fly to acquiesce to what convention or what people want, we'll never find out whether it can be truly successful or not. And I have full belief that it will be. I'm willing to bet, I guess, my job and my career on it, and time will be the judge of whether we're right or wrong. And we'll just keep doing our thing and trying to ignore the noise as best we can, and continue to march along in the face of doubt and skepticism. And in a few years, we'll know.
Last one, does Sheldon have like full autonomy as far as the way he wants to deploy the players, everything like that, or is there going to be some input from above and from the sides?
Well, he and I argue more than anybody I've ever worked with before. So we talk about this stuff. It's been interesting the last year and a half where obviously he's in the organization, but Lawrence Gilman has been handling that side of it with the Marlies, and though we talk, it hasn't been the same daily back and forth about players and tactics and anything like that. So I welcome his insights and inputs on players that we're looking to acquire, even draft, and he's open to my take on what's happening on the ice. Ultimately, he's the one behind the bench, and I defer to him, and I think the same thing goes for our player acquisition and our development and our drafting model. But I would say, in my mind, I have 100% full trust in him and the fact that he's going to execute tactically the way that the team is designed and to get the most out of the team. And if we need to make adjustments, he and I have always been able to have a good discussion on it. And I think the way to put it is that, we've always, in the time we worked together in the Sioux and with the Marlies, have always worked closely together, and some of the biggest disagreements we've had have led our teams to taking good steps. And I'll look forward to our first major disagreement here, which will probably be a few days away, and we'll roll on.
Well, lucky for you, Kyle, you work in a market where no one's really going to be paying attention. No one's going to be paying attention to see how this all plays out. We look forward to seeing, obviously, the Keefe era beginning tonight, and hopefully you guys can dig out of this. And as always, we appreciate you finding time for us, and we'll do it again down the road. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night.